Picture this. You've waited months, maybe even years. You've got your tickets in hand, your outfit planned to perfection. You're standing outside the Casilla Center in Miami with thousands of other little monsters. The energy, electric, the anticipation, almost unbearable. The clock is ticking toward showtime. And then, your phone buzzes. Lady Gaga isn't coming. Minutes. We're talking minutes before she was supposed to take that stage and deliver the performance of a lifetime. Everything came crashing down. And what happened next would send shockwaves through the music world and leave thousands of heartbroken fans wondering what went wrong with one of the most powerful voices of our generation. This isn't just another celebrity cancellation story. This is about the very real, very human cost of fame. About what happens when your body gives out just when millions are counting on you. About the impossible choices that come with being Lady Gaga. Let's go back to the beginning, before she was Mother Monster. Before she was Grammy royalty. Before she was the woman who could command stadiums with a single note. She was just Stephanie Germanotta. A girl from New York with dreams bigger than her tiny apartment and a voice that wouldn't be silenced. Growing up on the Upper West Side, Stephanie wasn't your typical Manhattan kid, while others her age were worried about designer clothes and social status. She was locked in her room, writing songs, playing piano until her fingers bled. Her parents, Joseph and Cynthia, watched their daughter pour everything into her music. They saw the late nights, the rejection letters, the tears after failed auditions. "I want to be a star," she'd tell anyone who would listen. But New York is full of dreamers. What made Stephanie different? What made her Lady Gaga? Pain. Raw, unfiltered pain. At 19, something happened that would shape everything. Stephanie was sexually assaulted by a music producer. For years, she carried this secret, this wound that never quite healed. Music became her therapy, her weapon, her salvation. Every song she wrote after that moment carried pieces of that trauma, transformed into something beautiful and fierce. "I'll never be the same," she would later say. "And I don't want to be." The transformation began slowly, then all at once. Stephanie started experimenting with her look, her sound, her entire identity. She studied Bowie, Madonna, Freddie Mercury. She learned that to make people listen, sometimes you had to make them stare first. The meat dress, the egg arrival at the Grammys, the outfits that seemed more like art installations than clothing. Critics called it a gimmick. They didn't understand that every single choice was calculated, purposeful. Lady Gaga was never just wearing a costume. She was wearing her pain, her power, her refusal to be ignored. Bad Romance changed everything. One song, 3 minutes and 54 seconds, that rewrote the rules of pop music. Suddenly, Lady Gaga wasn't just another aspiring artist grinding in New York's underground scene. She was a global phenomenon. But fame came with a price she never saw coming. The voice that had carried her from dive bars to the biggest stages in the world was starting to break. Not metaphorically, literally. Hours of rehearsals, night after night of performances, the constant pressure to be perfect. Her vocal cords were paying the price. By 2013, the pain had become unbearable. Hip surgery, canceled tours, months of recovery where she couldn't even speak, let alone sing. Fans watched their hero disappear from the spotlight, wondering if she'd ever come back. But she did, because that's what survivors do. The comeback was everything. A Star is Born proved. She was more than just pop spectacle. She was an actress, a storyteller, a force of nature who could make Bradley Cooper cry in front of millions. The Oscars performance of Shallow left not a dry eye in the house. Lady Gaga had evolved, matured, shown the world depths they never knew existed, and then came the Mayhem Ball. This wasn't just another tour. This was Gaga reclaiming her crown as the queen of live performance. Dark, gothic, theatrical in ways that made her early work look tame. This was the tour that would remind everyone why Lady Gaga was untouchable. Miami was supposed to be special. 3 nights at the Casilla Center. A homecoming of sorts for the artist who had always felt like an outsider. The first 2 shows were magical. Fans left speechless, critics scrambling for superlatives. The 3rd night, September 3rd, was going to be the perfect finale. The rehearsals started Tuesday night. Something felt different. Her voice, usually a powerhouse that could cut through any backing track, was strained. Rough around the edges, she pushed through the way she always had. Champions don't quit. Legends don't make excuses. But Wednesday brought something worse. During vocal warm-ups, the very exercises that were supposed to prepare her voice for the performance ahead, something went wrong. Not just fatigue, not just a rough day. This was different. Dangerous picture being in her position for a moment. You're Lady Gaga. You don't disappoint people. You don't let down the fans who saved their money, planned their trips, built their entire weeks around seeing you perform. You're the woman who performed with a broken hip, who sang through tears, through pain, through heartbreak that would have silenced lesser artists. But this time, the doctors were clear. The vocal coach was adamant. One more note could cause permanent damage. The voice that had given the world. Poker face, shallow, bad romance. It could all be over. At 8 p.m., exactly when the show was supposed to begin. Lady Gaga made the hardest decision of her career. The Instagram post went live just as thousands of fans were taking their seats. Hi everyone. I am really so sorry, but I need to postpone tonight's show in Miami. The words felt impossible coming from the woman who had never met a challenge she couldn't overcome. During rehearsal last night and my vocal warm-up tonight, my voice was extremely strained, and my medical team has advised me that performing could cause significant risk and long-term damage to my voice. Can you imagine typing those words? Can you feel the weight of disappointing not just thousands of people in that arena, but millions watching around the world? The fans outside the Casilla Center got the news in waves. First, whispers. Then, confirmation. Then the slow, heartbreaking exodus as reality set in. Some cried, some screamed. Some just stood there, tickets still clutched in their hands, unable to process what was happening. But here's what happened next that tells you everything you need to know about Lady Gaga's fans, her little monsters. They understood. Social media exploded, but not with anger. With love, with support. With messages that said, your health comes first. We love you no matter what. Take care of yourself, mother. This wasn't just any artist canceling a show. This was their hero, their voice for the voiceless, making an impossible choice to protect the very thing that had brought them all together. Lady Gaga's Instagram stories continued throughout the night, each post more vulnerable than the last. Even though this was a hard and agonizing decision, I would be more afraid of the long-term implications on my voice. She was thinking years ahead, decades ahead, not just about one show, but about all the shows to come. All the songs unwritten. All the moments of connection with fans who were yet to discover her music. The refund process began immediately. The rescheduling talks started. But the real story wasn't about logistics or lost revenue. It was about a woman who had built her career on being invincible, finally admitting that she was human. This moment connects to something deeper in Lady Gaga's journey. Remember that young woman who was assaulted by a music producer? Remember how music became her way of transforming pain into power? This cancellation, this moment of vulnerability. It's part of that same story. For years, she had pushed her body beyond its limits. The elaborate costumes that weighed hundreds of pounds. The dance routines that would challenge Olympic athletes. The vocal performances that demanded everything from her instrument. She had treated her body like a machine, and machines eventually break down. But Lady Gaga isn't a machine. She's a human being with feelings, with fears, with a voice that needs care and protection. The Miami cancellation happened just weeks after her triumph at the Paris Olympics closing ceremony. One day, she's singing for the world. The next, she's facing the reality that even superstars have limits. Think about the pressure she's under every single day. Not just from fans, from critics, from the music industry, but from herself. The woman who wrote Born This Way to inspire millions of outsiders to embrace their differences. The artist who has spoken openly about mental health, trauma, chronic pain. She carries not just her own struggles, but the hopes and dreams of everyone who has ever felt like they didn't belong. And sometimes, that weight becomes too much. The Mayhem Ball Tour will continue. The Miami show will be rescheduled. Lady Gaga will return to that stage probably stronger than ever, because that's who she is. That's what she does. But this moment, this vulnerable, honest, heartbreaking moment, might be more important than any performance she's ever given. It's a reminder that behind every superhuman artist is a human being doing their best to navigate an impossible world. It's a lesson about self-care in an industry that demands everything. About choosing long-term health over short-term expectations. About the courage it takes to disappoint people when disappointing them is the right thing to do. Lady Gaga has spent her career teaching us to be brave, to be different, to embrace our monsters, our flaws, our imperfections. On September 3, 2025, in Miami, she gave us maybe the most important lesson of all. Sometimes the bravest thing you can do is admit you can't do everything. Sometimes the strongest choice is knowing when to stop, and sometimes loving your fans means protecting your ability to keep loving them for years to come. The little monsters understood. They always do. Because Lady Gaga hasn't just given them music. She's given them permission to be human, and on a Wednesday night in Miami, when her voice gave out just minutes before Showtime, she reminded all of us that being human is enough. It's always been enough. The story isn't over. This is just another chapter in the incredible journey of the girl from New York who became Mother Monster. And like all the best stories, it's the vulnerable moments, the honest moments. The moments when the mask comes off that matter most. What did you think about Lady Gaga's impossible choice in Miami? How do you balance pushing through challenges with protecting your long-term well-being? Let us know in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe to Luminoir for more untold stories behind the headlines that matter.